Hi, this is Renee, and this is podcast lucky number 13.
Welcome to the ITeachBlogging.com blogcast. Your host, Renee Grosskreutz, talks blog all day long and shares it all. No secrets here to help you become a successful blogger. Listen at the end of today's blogcast on how to get your free PDF of Renee's booklet, Tips on Blogging for Business. Now, here's Renee.
In this episode, we will recap a tip from the last podcast, a quick SEO tip, and then we are going to get down to it with a conversation about 8 quick tips about blog platforms. So let's get started with the tip from the last podcast. In the previous podcast, podcast number 12, we talked about blogging frequency. The tip that I want to share today is, in the end, while the stats add pressure and the idea that you should blog more adds pressure, because we all know you should blog more, it's always the case, right? It is a good idea to come up with your own set of rules for frequency. My best advice to you is to just start writing and don't stop for a long time. Then you realize that you have a backlog of posts in the queue. Start adding to your frequency. In that podcast, I provided a guide that we developed at my company for frequency, and it worked well for us. The deal is that you need to decide for yourself what kind of frequency works best for you. A lot of people tell that there are hard and fast rules, and the truth is that they're just stats. I would challenge the idea that stats equal rules. The one thing that I do know is that blogging on a consistent basis is good for your blog and for your business. So while you can read the stats, in the end, you have to decide what frequency you can actually handle, because that is the key to blogging, is to keep doing it. Okay, so now let's get to our SEO tip for the day. We hear all of the time that video is king, video is king, video is king, and I completely agree with that. Actually, I'm betting my entire future on it because video is the heart of my membership website. That informs. So, okay. All right. Let's do a self-promo here. My membership site is about the basic how-to digital stuff, such as how to do WordPress and how to use the social media platforms. If you forgot how to get to your Facebook business page, I've got a video for that. I built scores of websites and set up well over 100 designs, social media platforms for clients. And one of the things that they all had in common is their questions about things ranging from how to log into Facebook page to what should I tweet about or blog about. I decided to build a website full of videos that answers those questions. Check it out at my.iteachblogging.com or go to iteachblogging.com and click on the membership site. It's a beta version right now at this point, so I'm just getting started. I would love your feedback. It would mean a lot to me, and I would love your questions. What kind of stuff do you want on there? Okay, so that really was unplanned and not, I don't know, I guess it was relevant. So back to SEO. When you upload a video to YouTube, make sure that you fill out the description and tag fully. When you fill out the description, start with a link to your relevant blog post or page on your website. This is real link juice. This is serious, and you don't want to lose out on it. So what I am saying here is, before the description, put the link to your website there, okay? Use the same keywords on your YouTube description as you have used in your page or blog post. Do not be shy here and provide plenty of valuable information for the viewer in this section. Feel free to go to town, be generous, but let me caution you, don't put the entire blog post or all of your page content, but be very descriptive. Put a good solid paragraph in there. Seriously, this is valuable space. Videos are valuable, and it's important to diversify your digital marketing world. It is not all just about your website. It is not all just about your blog. It is a media world that we live in now. I have a goal of eventually having a YouTube video for every blog post, but I'm an overachiever, I'll admit it, when it comes to this stuff, and it is going to take me some time. So set up your own goals and be patient with yourself. If you're like me, you still have a business to run, even if it is the business of blogging, because the business of blogging is a lot. I mean, think about it. Oh my gosh. I mean, I think about all the things that I have to do every single day. You know, I want to make slide shares. I want to make videos. I want to make sure that I'm connecting with people on social media. I want to get on the forums of this new membership site and have people interact, you know. There's a lot to do, even if your business is blogging. And that is just me being a full-time blogger. That doesn't even include my clients and my web design business, you know. So if you own a company, blogging is like number 159 on the list. So there's a lot to think about. But video, it matters. And the reason that it matters is because let's be honest here, Google is the biggest king of the world. Yahoo is not to be discounted, but Google is the king. And Google owns YouTube. So they put a lot of weight in it. So that's important. So that is my SEO tip for the day. Fill out your description on your YouTube videos. Okay, so let's get down to it. I have been carrying around this list for about 2 years. Can you believe that? I say carrying it around because it's in my Evernote. So I'm literally carrying it around everywhere I go, because everywhere I go is my phone, my tablet, my computer, at least my phone. So it's always with me because I have used Evernote everywhere. I created this list when I started brainstorming book ideas for my first ebook 2 years ago. Turns out I went with Twitter for my first ebook, and it was a blast to write. I had so much fun with that book, but I digress. I'm not sure my editor had as much fun, but I had a good time. Anyways, I recently started rereading Pro Blogger's book. Darren Rose, ProBlogger.com. Definitely go to that website. But the book is 31 Days to Be a Better Blogger. Or to a better blog, I'm sorry. And in this book, he gives you 31 days of blogging task. Day 2 is to create a list post. I had this list lying around and decided to just go with it. You know, why not, right? I've had it forever. So now I'm going to go through this list and talk about each one. This should be fun because I did not edit this list from the past 2 years. So we'll see together if I still agree with these items or if I say ignore. We'll find out together. This should be interesting. Oh, and hey, by the way, my book is for sale on Amazon still. It's called 15 Twitter Tips for Authors and Other Grown-Ups Who Don't Know What the Hell to Do. So you could look that up by my name or the title, and that would be kind of fun and interesting. So let's go with tip number 1. Here we go. This should be fun. Build your blog on WordPress. There's nothing against other platforms. Okay, maybe I have something against other platforms, so we won't go into that. WordPress just offers every plugin imaginable. So I guess if it comes down to it for me for WordPress, it's not even just ease of use, because I tell my clients all the time and people, if you can type in Microsoft Word, you can use WordPress really easily because it's very similar. They were really thinking this through when they created it. Thank you, Matt. And it really comes down to plugins, because plugins are what makes a website awesome. If you don't know what a plugin is, it is a piece of code that you can install in your WordPress to do things like for example, there's Twitter plugins that if you ever go to a website and it shows the Twitter feed, that's a Twitter plugin, and they're really cool and easy to use for the most part. So, hey, I got a text. That should be good. So anyway, that's kind of how that works. So here's a note, though. This is something important that I just want to throw out there. There is a difference between WordPress.com and WordPress.org. And frankly, I find that confusing. So if I find that confusing, I can only imagine how you feel. So here's how it goes. This is basically, when you break it down to its core, either you can host your own domain name and install WordPress for free, because guys, WordPress is free no matter what, which is fabulous, and I really appreciate it. Or you can use the WordPress website to have a blog for free, which means you don't have to do your own hosting or anything like that. So why does this matter? Well, the difference is in ownership and URL. For example, I could have iteachblogging.com, which I do, or I could have iteachblogging.wordpress.com. Here's why that's bad. If you are a business, you need to take yourself seriously. If you learn nothing else from me in my blogging, in my membership site, in my podcast, in my courses, if you learn nothing else from me, then take this tip to heart. If you are serious about blogging, or if you are blogging for your business, have enough respect for your business to own your domain name and to host it yourself. It's not that expensive, and it is well worth it. It makes you look better. But if those reasons are not enough, here's a few more reasons. You are limited in what themes that you can use. So I use premium themes. Like, I'm a big Thesis theme person and a big Genesis theme person because they have amazing SEO built it right into them. You're going to get better SEO with those themes and their clean code, which is another thing I won't even get into, but they're clean code. You're limited in what kind of plugins that you use. So, for example, if you want to use what's called a third-party plugin, and I just looked this up for a blog post that I'm working on just a couple of days ago, there are over 27,000 third-party plugins, and those are the good ones. Usually a third-party plugin, you have to pay a little bit for it, but not always. But if it's a third-party plugin, in other words, if it's not a pre-approved WordPress plugin, you can't use it if you have the WordPress in your domain name, okay? Other reasons, if you are going to do any affiliate marketing, if you're a blogger who wants to make a living blogging, that means you're going to run ads, okay? And that means you're going to do affiliate marketing. If you use the free version with WordPress in your domain name, you can't do that. It's against the rules. There are a lot of rules what you can and cannot do. WordPress free is good for some people. If you're running like a hobby, if you're trying to do something with your kids, or if you're trying to connect with your family and you just want to put out things that you and your family are doing because you're trying to connect with your family on another coast or in another country, terrific tool. It's really great, but you have to think through what you're doing. So that's tip number 1. Build your blog on WordPress, and my advice to you is to invest in the domain name and hosting. You can see information about this on my website. I use JustHost. Love them. Terrific customer service. I could do a blog post or a podcast just about that because I had some issues recently and they spent 5 hours with me when they didn't have to. Really, really great people. So, tip number 2, make sure that you are using a good SEO plugin such as Yoast. And that is Yoast. It's a funky name, but something that you want to know for sure. What are some of the good things about Yoast? It's free. That's one good thing. I like free. He has premium plugins, and you probably want to look into that. He has a lot of wonderful things, actually. He does SEO reviews of your website, wonderful tools. He just started selling themes. A premium theme, by the way. You wouldn't be able to install that on the regular WordPress. Just want to point that out. Some of the things that Yoast does is it helps you focus, in my opinion, because when there's a place to put in your meta title, meta description, and also if you put in a focus keyword, he will give you the density with his plugin, and that just means how many times you're using that keyword to make sure that you're getting a good solid density and that you're not overusing, because overusing is really even worse than underusing a keyword. It will help you just in general rank your page. It'll give you a lot of stats and a lot of information. It'll help you with 404 errors. It's got a lot of things built into it that are really, really valuable. Highly recommend Yoast. Another good SEO plugin, if you're not a Yoast fan for whatever reason, Ultimate SEO. That's a good one. I'm using that actually on my DFW website designers. I use different ones on different sites because I'm constantly testing things. But for my personal site, I'm using Yoast. I just really like it. Okay, let's go with tip number 3. Sign up for Askimet. I'm not sure I'm saying that right. It's Askimet, Askimet. I'm pretty sure I got it. Sounds good to me. What is that? Well, that is probably one of the best plugins as a blogger you will ever have. Here's what it does for you. It helps you reduce spams on your comments. When you start, a funny thing, let me back up for just a second. I'll share a fun little story with you guys. When I am building a blog for a client, I don't put it on there at the beginning. And this is just a little weird Renee thing. This is like a Renee and Fred thing, something we started doing a long time ago, because we kind of have this theory. When clients come to me and say, oh my gosh, Renee, I am getting so much spam on my blog right now. I'm like, yes, that is such great freaking news. And they're like, wow, why are you so excited about this? Because this is really bad. And I'm like, because now I know that your site is indexed. People are picking it up. If you're getting spam, then I know that people are seeing your website. And that is fabulous to me. So let me go fix that for you. And then suddenly I become a hero, which is really fun, right? Because like I'm totally a hero because I'm going to stop this spam problem for them. So go install Askimet. Now, Askimet is free, theoretically, but they do ask for donations, and I recommend, shoot them $5 when you install it, because honestly, it's worth it for what it's going to do for you. So what'll happen is when you go to the back end of your WordPress dashboard, you're going to see a list of comments, and it's going to say, you have 950 spam comments and 2 real ones, or if you're lucky, like me, my blog's still new, so it's like, oh, you got 1 comment, Renee. Oh, yeah, So there you go. Sign up for Askimet. It will change your life, as will all things WordPress and blogging. So, tip number 4, create a Google Analytics account. This is not that hard to do, but it's a little weird when you first do it. So that's just that. But if you Google Analytics, because that's how I do everything, because I don't remember domain names for Google. I don't know why I seem to have a weird mental block with that, but that's just me. So probably bookmarking it would be wise, but what fun would that be? So Google Analytics account, walk through the steps to set up your Google Analytics account. Why do you want to do this, Renee? Well, You need to know where your traffic's coming from. You need to know some information about your traffic. Google Analytics will tell you age demographics. They will tell you, are people reading your blog on a mobile device mostly? Are they mostly reading it on a desktop? How did they get there? What pages did they travel along on your blog? That's important too, because one of the things that it's like blogging and traveling through a person's website is a journey, and you really want to know, where are people going next? What are they clicking on next? And when did they leave? Because you might start seeing some consistency between that question. Think about it for a second. Let's say that you have 15 pages on your website or your blog, 15 blog posts, and you see people go from blog post number 1, which of course this would never happen, but we'll just go with it. Blog post number 1, they read that and they're so interested that something makes them click to blog post number 2 and blog post number 3. But by the time people get to blog post number 4, they always leave. Even if they go from 2 to 4, they always leave. So it makes you think, why are people always leaving on blog post number 4? Are they just tired? Did I tell them to leave? Did I not give them another link to go somewhere else? What is the answer? These are things that you're going to start thinking about in the future. But you want to go ahead and sign up the analytics account now so that you can start gathering that history. They're going to tell you what time of day people come on. I mean, there's so much information, and there's some really cool what's called dashboards that you can download. I have this on my blog, some dashboards. It's really worth looking at. This is going to be incredibly helpful to you to start figuring out, did people come mostly from Twitter? How did people find my website? Are they all coming from google.com? Hallelujah. Or are they coming from Twitter? Like for me, most of mine come from Twitter, but that's probably because I'm a Twitter freak and I spend most of my time on Twitter. Like I said, I wrote my first book about Twitter. So that's something to think about. The next thing is Google related again. Imagine that. Create a Google Webmaster account. Now, you might think, but I just created an analytics account. What's the difference? Well, there is a difference. Google Webmaster, it gives you a little more information about, is the website okay? Like the health of the website. Think of it like that. Analytics tells you how people get to the website, but the Webmaster account tells you if your website's healthy. Is it indexed? Does it have a sitemap? Can they crawl the sitemap? Did they have any errors when they crawled the sitemap? Are there any pages that are now giving 404 errors? Are there any pages that is the site loading slow? All of these kind of things are about the health of your website, and you can connect the Google Analytics and the Google Webmaster Tools account, and I highly recommend doing this. I actually have this process that I do too. I use the Google Webmaster account a lot for not even just the health, but I make sure that whenever I release a new blog post that Google goes out and fetches it. Instead of waiting for Google to find it, I tell Google immediately through my Google Webmaster Tools account, hey, I have a new blog post, check it out, index it. And it gets indexed faster that way because I'm helping them. Because otherwise you have to wait for the Google spiders to go out there and just find it. And that takes a long time. That could take a very, very long time. So I'm just helping Google out there. So let's see. Tip number 6. Oh, this is a good one. Don't forget about Bing. It does matter. Create a Bing Webmaster account. See, I'm doing pretty good with these tips. These are 2 years old. It's not bad. Okay. Bing. Bing is important. A large percentage of people are using it. I never use it. I don't know why. I just don't. I'm a Google or Yahoo person. It's funny. I use Google for search. I use Yahoo for just seeing what's going on in the world. But Bing is important. 30% or more of the traffic is coming from Bing, and they have a Webmaster account, and it's not exactly hard, and it's not exactly easy to set up, but it is definitely valuable, and you can submit your sitemap and do all of the same things that you do with Google. So don't forget about it. And considering what your demographic may or may not be, Bing may be more important to you than Google. So you want to really think about that. And let me tell you something else too. Bringing up Yahoo. Yahoo and Bing have combined forces for this Webmaster stuff. And so if you put it on Bing, Yahoo will know. There is no Yahoo Webmaster account any longer. There used to be, but it's not there anymore because they have combined forces with Bing. And at this time, when you put something on Bing Webmaster, you are alerting Yahoo. So think about that. I just said put it on Google Webmaster, set up a Google Webmaster account, make sure they know about your blog or your website or both, and create a Bing Webmaster. So with those 2 tips, you are getting a jump on the average blogger that doesn't do these things because you are telling Yahoo, Bing, and Google, the top 3 search engines there, that, hey, I have a blog. I would really like you to share it with people. So that's important. The next thing is a plugin here. Yes, I love this plugin. Use Google XML sitemap plugin. I actually just did a tutorial video that I put on my membership site, which is free, of course, about how to use this plugin. I love this plugin so much. There are several different ones, but look at my video. I can't remember the name of the woman who created, I believe it's a woman that created the one that I use, but there are definitely differences, and I really like that one. So go to my membership site, sign up, and go to WordPress, or email me if you can't find the video, and I'll send it to you. But definitely use this XML sitemap because Google wants a sitemap. Bing wants a sitemap. They want to have a HTML, XML version of these are all the pages on my website in one giant list. Make it easy for me to find it. This is important. And what this XML sitemap does is it automatically generates that for you, and it automatically sends it out to Google. And every single time that you make a change to your website or your blog, it will re-update that sitemap, regenerate it, and send it back to Google for you. So, very valuable tool. And again, it's free. So I love that. Tip number 7. Or 8, I'm sorry. Check your analytics often. You may be surprised at what you see. Okay. This is good and bad advice. So this is one of the ones that I'm going to go, well, okay, yes. Depends on how far along you are. Checking your analytics often. I wake up in the morning and I check my analytics. The IT's blogging blog has been around for a while now, about not quite a year. It'll be working on a year. But I wasn't blogging on it until recently. But now that I am started and now that I am dedicated to it, I wake up every morning before I make coffee, and then I sit down while the coffee's brewing and I check my analytics. Really, really bad thing to do because it's a new blog. And while I've had some success on other blogs, you always have to start from scratch. And my analytics, well, they're not so great. They're just, it's a little depressing. So should you check them often at the beginning? I don't think so. I wouldn't do it. But I would get it all set up and maybe check it once every few weeks. If you're a real geekhead like me, and you really, because what I'm checking for is not even how many people have hit the blog. I'm trying to figure out where they're coming from so that I can see where do I need to step up my activities, because I already know that I spend a great deal of time on Twitter, not so much time on Facebook. And where else should I be? Where are people coming from? How are they finding me? And am I being found on Google.com yet? That's really what I want to know. So I'm a little more, since I have to talk about this all the time, I'm analyzing everything all the time. But if I was just a business owner blogging because I need to blog for my business, like if I was Party Supply Company or Lawn Care, I use those two as my examples all the time, I probably wouldn't check my blog analytics quite as often up until maybe when I get into it and I start seeing that I'm getting, well over, I don't know, I'll even be small because everybody's like, oh, until you have 50,000 hits, you don't really need to think about it. That's crap. But when I have over 100 hits a day and I'm a business owner, then I'm going to start paying a little more attention because 100 hits a day could be really good for my business, depending on how many clients I need. And that's the thing about analytics is, everybody's all about, oh, you got to have so many hits. I read the other day, somebody said, don't even start thinking about trying to find advertisers on your podcast until you're getting 50,000 downloads per podcast. And I'm like, oh my gosh, if I ever got 50,000 downloads on my podcast, I'm not saying it won't happen, but I'm not going to wait until then to try to get sponsors. I just can't. That's just not who I am. So if I'm a business owner and I hope to get 3 new clients a month, and I'm getting 100 hits a day to my blog, and I'm not getting 3 new clients a month, I'm going to start thinking, what can I do differently to reach these people? Am I not doing a good enough call to action? Because that's a decent amount of hits. It depends on what your goals are. So when you're hearing people talk about analytics, I know I'm off on a little rant here, but when you're hearing people talk about analytics, always keep in mind that people have really, really big, grand ideas. And I'm not saying don't think big, because I think big, you should think big too. But you also have to think about what your goals are. Because what good is, could you handle the kind of volume that maybe 50,000 hits a day would bring you? Maybe you can. Maybe you can grow your business to that model, but maybe you don't want to. I know people that work from home and they're just trying to get a few clients because they want to work from home and they have no interest in having employees. They just want to do what they love. And if they were getting 50,000 hits a day and they were getting all these inquiries, they would turn on all this work. And that's maybe not what they need. So what do you need? I mean, that's really what you have to think about is what do you need? And you have to work it backwards, because if you have 100 hits a day and you get that for 30 days, that's pretty good. But how many leads do you get out of that? And you might only get one, and that may be good enough for you, and that may be awesome. So while it says here, check your analytics often, and I interpreted that as daily, but just keep an eye on what kind of information you need to know. Where are people coming from? What age groups are you reaching? Because if your target audience is 50 plus, but you've got 20-year-olds reading your website, but no 50 plus, then, you might need to think about that a little bit. So there's things to think about, but I wouldn't obsess over it like I do. So, that is pretty much all that I have to say about that. That's my 8 tips. And I really want to say thank you so much for listening to this podcast. This was podcast number 13 for me. It's pretty exciting. And I don't know if you've listened to my other ones, but hopefully you can tell a difference in the sound, because I bought myself a new microphone yesterday. I'm pretty psyched about that. Yay, blue snowball, right? So there you go. Okay. Have a wonderful blogging experience. And whatever you do, just keep blogging.
Thank you for listening to ITeachBlogging.com blogcast with me, Renee Grosskreutz. Visit ITeachBlogging.com/show notes. I will have the PDF download for you at that link, along with useful links that we talked about today. Go forth and blog.